Big shout out to today's video sponsor, Linsoul. Check out their fantastic deals in the links in the video description. Tangzu's FuDu Verse 1 is an interesting value proposition at just $89. 3 drivers, a decent cable, a case and a clean design. Let's talk about that. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas and a big thanks to Linsoul for sending out the FuDu Verse 1 for review. They aren't paying me to say nice things about the product and don't get to see this video before you, but their links as always are in the video description. The FuDu is a hybrid IEM with a single dynamic and dual BAs, which is not exactly unheard of at this price point, but is nice to see. These hybrid setups can cost quite a bit more than the single dynamics to implement. And Tangzu certainly isn't holding back when it comes to spending your money, making their products feel more premium. The unboxing experience is really nice. There's a clean layout internally, you get all your accessories laid out in individual boxes too. Just feels really nice at this price point. The included case is a wallet-sized leather feel bag with a decent zip on the top to keep everything secure. There's enough room in there for the FuDu and a couple of adapters, your cable, that kind of thing. It maybe won't fit in everyone's jean pockets, it's quite a bit bigger than what I'd expect for that, but in a jacket pocket, you should have absolutely no problem with these. There are a couple of different silicone tip types with the FuDu Verse 1, which is nice to see. No foams, but at this price point I'm not docking points for that because you don't tend to get them at sub $100. I'm actually on the fence a bit about the cable though. On one hand it's 2-pin, it's got a nice rubber-like soft touch finish to its braid, and having the option to go for 3.5mm or 4.4 is nice and it's always welcomed. But on the other hand, the ear hooks are very, very loose. I mean, at least for me, they wouldn't quite fit right, making the fit of the overall IEM quite a bit looser than I'd like. And of course, everyone's ear shapes are different, so your mileage most certainly will vary, but I thought it was worth pointing out because it's pretty rare that I don't get a cable to fit just right pretty much any time. So yeah, I mean, that said, you can replace it if you'd like to. That is a nice bonus to have, but it's not going to fit everyone's ears. The IEMs themselves are incredibly light. Their 3D printed resin construction not only helps in moulding a smooth inner shell, but it also makes them easy to wear for long periods of time because their lack of heft. I mean, that said, they do feel well made despite them being so light, and they feel like they should last you a long time. They're also translucent with a slight transparency, so you can somewhat make out the different drivers inside, which is pretty cool. The metal plate mentioned in their marketing material is basically like this tiny triangular thing on the face with the Tangzu logo on it. I'm not sure it's really needed because it creates a bit of a busy looking face in my opinion, but that is subjective of course. Speaking of subjectivity, let's talk about the sound for a minute. That's why you buy these anyway. That 10mm dynamic offers pretty impressive low down punch, which shows itself not only in hip hop and drum and bass, but also in metal, rock and most pop music. It offers the body to the sound, and the BAs are doing a terrific job in the mids and the high frequencies. And whilst they aren't the most technically accurate, I still think the Kailua is more accurate. Yeah, nothing ever feels particularly muddy or overlapping, which makes instrument separation pretty easy to make out, something that cheaper sets tend to mess up with sort of rock and drum and bass tracks. These are U-shaped, so the mids, usually containing the male vocals, can sound a little bit pulled back. This is pretty standard for a mainstream tuning profile that aims to not offend anyone and instead please most people, because a lot of mainstream audio products sound similar to this. The tuning is smooth yet clear, meaning that long listening sessions never resulted in audio fatigue, at least for me. 5 to 6 hours is roughly what I got of pain-free listening. It's about what I get out of most IEMs, and these kind of surpass that in some way, getting towards the 6-hour mark really easily. In fact, the feeling of the IEM, the plastic in my ear, caused more fatigue than the actual audio fatigue. So there you go, and these are not uncomfortable IEMs. All testing was done between the Zendak V2 from iFi and the ITB03 because those are my 2 balanced outputs. I listened to Logic, Decipher Dawn, Fox Stevenson, Breaking Benjamin, The Killers, I mean all sorts on these, and they handled them just fine. They handled everything I threw at them. The timbre is pretty natural despite the 2 BAs, and the tone again, very natural. I've tried some sets in more recent times with a bit of a metallic-y aftertaste, and that tends to be a problem for stuff like the Theo Audio Hype 2, for example, but no such problem with these, which is great to see, or I guess, hear. They work great for gaming as well. Soundstage and imaging, pretty average, which is to say I never felt like they were holding me back, but also they never stood out and wowed me by any stretch of the imagination. Those aren't the particularly strong points to buy the FuDu Verse 1. I've been playing a lot of the CS2 open beta and never once thought, yeah, I'm going to need to swap these out, and that's a pretty good sign for those looking to buy these to game competitively, though I think there are sets that do that better if I'm honest. Maybe the Moondrop Aria, the Final Audio VR3000 if you can get past the uncomfortability, or the Kailua even. They would do a better job because they're just more technically accurate. Overall, there's not much to dislike about the FuDu Verse 1. They look decent, they sound good for most applications, they come with decent accessories, even if they aren't the best from what we've seen at this price point. They're not getting an instant recommendation at this price because I think the 7Hz Sonus are just so good, so check that review out if you haven't already. And I also feel like the Kailua give you better technical performance. The VR3000 again more soundstage, the Sonus the more dynamic and energetic sound, and the Starfield 2 the better design and accessories. That said, if you're on the fence about buying them, I don't think you'll be disappointed with the Tangzu FuDu Verse 1. A big thanks to Linsoul for sending out today's review unit. Check out their links in the description along with my socials and all that kind of other information. Please like and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. I've been Ryan Thomas and I'll catch you later. Cheers.